Good morning, everyone. This is Sean. I am your late life entrepreneur. And this morning, I want to bang out this video before I have to go off and do some things. I'm still in what's called that awkward phase of YouTube channels, in that, I follow this girl. I'll mention her name and maybe connect her site. She talks about when you set up a YouTube channel, how in the beginning, you're just going out there and throwing things out there and getting a rhythm. So I'm in this awkward phase. I realize that the video quality is not that good or anything, but I'm going to go with it. Today I am in Nairobi, Kenya. I've been here since a couple of days. I came here for a convention, and I'm a big fan or whatever. I'm very interested in British colonial history. So I'm staying in a house that was a colonial house from the 1920s. And it's like going back in time. And here I'm sitting on the veranda, and you can see some of the gardens behind me. So I'll be in Kenya for another week. 4 of those days, I'll be out on a motorbike out in the bush on a tour through some of the parks and things like that. So I'll report on that from underway. Now, I'm in Kenya because as a late life entrepreneur, I am trying to find my niche. And I came here because I have colleagues who work here and they say there's a lot of opportunity. So I set up my one business, which is about European relocation. And that is basically set up and operating. The problem there, the challenge there, I should say instead, is finding the clients. And it's been hard to find the clients. So I came up with a secondary idea in order to fill in the gaps between when I get clients for that business to establish a general consultancy, just business legal consulting worldwide. And hopefully with that, I would get more smaller mandates and get cash flow coming in. So I've had to be a bit resourceful in that one business is up and, let's say, running or established. The offer is there, the website is there. I just have to fill in get the clients now, and hopefully it's easier to get clients more readily for some of the consulting. So I'll have, let's say, two-tier consulting practice, and hopefully I'll get some business. And that's why I'm in Kenya now. Colleagues that I have that work here say this is a place that's in full growth and full swing, and that it's possible to get consulting work regarding Kenya and East Africa. So I made the whole journey to come here and to go out and meet people and develop contacts. And maybe that'll bring something, maybe not. I'll have to see. I must say that it's quite a challenge to not exactly have your niche set up. And I think that was a mistake I should have had going in. I should have done more legwork, more prep work before I pulled the trigger to go independent. And that is one piece of advice to anybody who's watching, is that if you're going to be a late life entrepreneur and you're going to pull that trigger and go off on your own, to do a lot of that setup work while you're still in a job. I didn't do enough of that. So I got to the point at which I decided I thought I was going to go along with this one type of work. Um, I set it up and all that, but I didn't get the clients that I needed, or I haven't gotten them yet. So then I had to pivot and add something else to try to get the clients. My advice to anybody from now on would say, be very clear about what you're offering to the market. Set up your infrastructure as much as you can while you're still in your job. Get your website up, get your SEO. That's something I want to go into, search engine optimization. That's a tough nut to crack. Um, Set up very clearly what you're bringing to the market. Get a online presence. Maybe you cannot go on LinkedIn. You cannot be too vocal yet because you're still employed, but do all the setup stuff that you can do while you're still in a job, and then move out. Of course, there are other things also that we'll get into, maybe getting some baseline clients and things like that, which is a luxury. But that's probably the message for today. Don't try to invent it as you go. Be very clear going in what you're doing. I'm trying to invent as I go. I'll keep you posted on that. So I'm in Kenya. I'll be here for another 7 days, and we'll see if any work comes out of this, or maybe I'll have to do another visit in the future. Um, I felt that I needed to expand and do more I need to go extra distance in order to try to get clients. So just sitting at home, waiting for the clients to come wasn't working. So be prepared for that. If your initial plan doesn't work, to pivot, and you might have to make some sacrifices. Now, it's interesting to be here in Kenya. I wouldn't necessarily call it a sacrifice. It's kind of a luxury, but I am away from my family. I am spending money that isn't coming in right now. So it's out of the ordinary, let's say it like that. Now, I did write a book, and I saw today that I have actually earned some royalties on that book. That's a nice feeling, even though it's not very much. It's a start, and you have to get through that phase of getting the first money in before a lot of money comes in, if a lot of money comes in. So, I mean, nothing goes from 0 to 100. It's a start, and it was a positive feeling to see that some cash already came in from the book that I wrote. On search engine optimization, like I said, that is something I would really concentrate on before going off on your own. I didn't really think about it until last month, and then I engaged a few people to help me with it. And you go on these sites, Upwork and Fiverr and such. They promise the world, they deliver nothing. So that is a challenge. That is something I would definitely study a little bit how that works. Engage somebody very good, and if you have a website set up before you go independent, that website could be generating traffic. And I would engage someone to do that SEO months and months before you go off onto your own. Because any clients that come in or any requests that come in, you can either park them for when you go off on your own, or maybe even in your free time, you can start to handle some of that client work beyond your normal job. I think that would be really the ideal way to go, is that you keep a low profile as far as being vocal and such on LinkedIn, but you have a website. Maybe it looks anonymous, so you don't want to trigger anybody's knowledge that you're going to go off on your own. But see if you get some client requests. And if you get some client requests, work extra time, work double time to take care of those while you still have a job, and then decide, once you see that it's working, then to branch off. Another thing I have to say, the last thing is, if you're a late life entrepreneur, I don't want to say this is a young man or a young person's world, but in a way it is. In that, here's what I feel. I come here and I go to this conference and I meet people, and inside I feel like a very young person. But then somebody just sent me a photo of me, and I see how old I look, and I don't know if it's almost comical, somebody older trying to carve a niche for himself. Comical is probably not the right word, but I wonder how it looks from outside. Um, I would say, and this is hard to formulate, but maybe you get my gist, is that if you're going to go off on your own as a late life entrepreneur, be sure you know your sector and be strong in that sector, and be, let's say, have a dignified presence in that sector. Say, okay, I've done all this. Now I'm here off on my own. I would try to avoid what I'm trying to do now, in that you go out and try to carve out a sector for yourself. I would really try to very well define what it is that you're going to do and position yourself as the expert in that field. Um, I probably could have done that, or in the one sector I'm in, I did do that, but I just don't have enough clients. And now I have to go out and try to scrape together other things. And I don't mind doing it. I would rather, though, have, let's say, a certain credibility and a client base from which I can start. Now, I don't have it yet. I have to dig it out, like I say, or carve it out. Let's say it comes in a year, and then I'll already have gone through that work. But my advice to you is try to do that work before, if that helps. Feel free to contact me if you have questions. And lastly, I met with somebody last night, an Italian gentleman. We went out to dinner. I met him at this conference. He's 1 year younger than I am, and he's basically in the same position. Had a corporate career for a long time, and then due to downsizing and such, he decided, rather than to go and look for a new corporate job, he was going to try on his own to become a consultant. And our wavelengths were the same, considerations were the same. He's in a little bit better position because I think he has more money saved, and he doesn't have a child that he has to care for. So he's a bit more liberty to test out some things. But I saw and I felt, talking to him, the same thing that I feel when some of my former colleagues call me, ask me about my journey to making this decision. So I'm more and more convinced that there's quite a audience here for this message about how to be a late life entrepreneur, what the considerations are, pitfalls, and things like that. So I hope this is helpful. Greetings again from Kenya. I'll try to do another one of these videos when I'm out on the bush in the next couple of days. And I hope this helps, and stay in touch. Contact me if you have any questions.